Hello YouTube and welcome to the EverGreenCoin community meeting and hangout September 16th of 2017. Um, on the call today, let me make my sharing on, sorry, one second. Yeah. On the call today we got Bo, we got Frosty, we got Giz Freak, and we got myself. Let's see, okay, so I'll start off with the price. Let me get the screen sharing on Google Hangouts here. One second. Oh, got madness going on. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so we had a big pump on September 11th. We had a very big pump, almost up to 10,000 Satoshi. Um, so it worked out to, I believe, about 35 cents was where it was peaking out at. Maybe close to 36. I'm not sure, but right around that ballpark. Um, it came out. It came out of nowhere. You know, there was no lead up. You know, I guess if you look at this pump we had previously, uh, there was a little bit of a lead up to it. You know, this one kind of crept up out of nowhere. You know, uh, and it did stay for about 48 hours or so. It was trickling down, and it started trickling down, and then the news with Bitcoin and the China regulations hit. So we kind of got hit by a double whammy at that point, right around this point of time. Um, you know, coming down off of our pump, and then the Bitcoin news, you know, and Bitcoin dropping below $3,000, losing almost $1,000 on Bitcoin price, kind of. We had a, I think we had a bit of a double whammy from both of those things happening. Um, let's see, and the price more recently, last night I did see it as low as 14 cents. It's been just below 4,000 Satoshi. But right now, while it's at 16 cents, 4,572 Satoshi. So, once again, I guess at the last community meeting, we were at 17 cents, and we're at 16 cents right now. So, if you ignore all the pump and everything in between, we only went down a penny. Uh, so it's been a bit volatile. I mean, it's been a bit chaotic. You know, I was looking at the price yesterday, and it seemed like every time I looked at it, I was getting a different, you know, number. You know, be somewhere between 17 to 14 cents, even I think it was, and possibly even lower. But anyway, uh, you know, obviously I have no control over the market. It's a free market. But it was we did get a lot of attention because of it. Every time we have one of these pumps, you know, it brings in new people to the community. New people learn about the project, so that's a benefit that we always get from a pump, regardless of what happens or who profits from it or anything. Of course, I'm happy to see any time the community members can profit. So that was awesome to see, and probably right now probably should be a rebuy time if you haven't been rebuying. I know a lot of the people in the Slack channel have been, so that's I guess all I can really say about that. Another thing, let's see, next on my list here is the Solar Staker. I want to discuss a couple things about that. UK Mike has posted in the Bitcoin Talk thread an analysis, if you will, of different single board computers that we have that evaluated and looked at. Um, we still do side with the chip for reasons that Mike has detailed here. And thank you so much, Mike, for making this post and bringing out all these details. On that note, I did, and maybe Mark, you might be happy to hear this. I did purchase a Raspberry Pi. It's a Pi 3 Model B. Um, Unfortunately, I don't have the SD micro card for it yet, so I haven't had much time to, or I haven't had no opportunity to uh, experiment with it because I don't have the SD card yet. Um, when I purchased the Pi, I was hoping to use the card from an old camera of mine. Trying to save a buck. I figured I'd use that old card. Um, well, unfortunately, I can't find that old card for my old camera, so I have to buy an SD card. But I have listened to people talking about the Raspberry Pi, and I'm gonna go ahead and try to get one running, hopefully on solar, and so I can run maybe some comparisons uh, to how long I can
Mhm.
consistently run a chip versus how long can I consistently run the Raspberry Pi 3 Model B. Um, so we can do a little bit more analysis, or I can. I know UK Mike has. Uh, he does have a Pi. He has a 3B and a 2B. Um, I think just as of last night, there was a little bit of problems with the operating system and the OpenSSL compiling that with the daemon. So he did have to. Let's see. I think he switched to. I think it was Jesse. Uh, the Jesse release. Um, and he does have it running on the Raspberry Pi 2 also now. So he does have more of these devices than I. I only have I have three of the chips now. Two that I run solar, and one that I run off of AC. Uh, and now I have this one Raspberry Pi. So I have listened to you guys about. Uh, I know I understand everyone's worried about um, the availability of the chip, and we are too. And I do want you guys to know we are concerned about it as well. And I am myself looking at the Raspberry Pi more seriously if we need to go that route in the future. We want to be as prepared as we can. We don't want it to sneak up on us, obviously. So, and the Zero, the Banana Pi, he's looked at. Um, but once again, he
What?
does he does think the chip is the it does fit the application what we're doing like a glove. I'm sorry, did I cut someone off? Was someone talking, guys?
No, I wanted to say that I think it's a good option. Yeah, the availability is a big point.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it'll do us no good to design it on the chip if we can't get the chip, right? Right, right. Yes.
I know that the Raspberry Pi 3 it's widely spread.
It what? I'm sorry.
Widely spread, and they are still developing and developing and developing.
Right. Yeah, things change, drivers change, and those drivers sometimes cause, so yeah, and I mentioned that in previous hangouts where we had some driver issues with the chip, and so yeah, it seems like there's always a constant hurdle in front of us with it, but we keep on trudging away. Mike's made a lot of progress. I mean, he's devoted a lot of his own time, and no one's paying him. No one's, so I mean, I can't thank him enough for all the time he's spent on it because I know I couldn't do it without his help. So it's awesome to have him helping. A great help.
Yeah,
Um,
okay. It's a matter of frontiers. It's where no man has gone before,
right, right,
uh,
yeah, right, right, yeah.
and
Oh,
that comes with falling, getting up again, falling.
right, right. Yep, yep. Just keep on keeping on, right? Be persistent, right? Right.
Right.
Okay, let's see. I did take some pictures this morning of my current I'm sorry, not my Raspberry Pi, of my current solar setup that runs a chip. Um, so I got some pictures I want to share with you guys. Let me turn my screen sharing on once again here. One sec. Oops. Sorry. Oh, okay, James. I see James has joined us.
Yeah, welcome,
Hi,
James.
James. Hi, James. Welcome.
How's it going, James?
Stabilizing is not really some. Well, this is cryptocurrency. Stability is not really something we've perfected in this industry. I'm sorry. No, I'm joking. One thing that could stabilize cryptocurrencies is more merchants accepting a higher demand, a constant demand, can lead, I guess, to a more stable price. But once again, this is an industry in its infancy. Um, yeah, I mean, Bitcoin itself in the last 48 hours has swung over $1,000 or near $1,000, I believe. Yeah, it's very volatile. Uh, to stop that volatility would take someone having a very large supply or a very large amount of money to
Yeah, good.
manipulate the market. It is a free market, very with very little regulation or things like that. It is a bit of a wild west, if you will. Uh, and we have seen that this past week with EverGreenCoin swinging from as much as 35 cents down to as low as 13 cents. Um, so let me see, make sure I'm addressing your entire question and statements here. I'm sorry. Yeah, see, okay, yeah, these points have been mentioned before, James, with regards to running an Android app. Okay, there's going to be all kinds of, and I hate to sound like a broken record here, but I've had
Mhm.
to debunk this more several times. Okay, first off, quite frankly, I don't want to support people's Android phones. When someone has a problem with this solar staker, I'm the person they're going to come to. I don't want to be answering support tickets for people that have a problem with their Android phone and can't connect to Facebook or something like that. Um, an Android device has all kinds of components that we would not need. It's basically like putting a Cadillac in your front yard and taking the wheels off of it and starting it up and turning on the air conditioning and using that as your air conditioning. It is way overkill. It is not what we're trying to make. It is not does not fit our application. Uh, the support would be immense. It would set. Mm, I realize people. I guess. I guess people. I realize people think that I can just go onto Amazon, order a phone, order a battery pack, and load Evergreen Coin onto it. Now that we have an Android app, and just mail it to them. Um, but it, when you think it out, when you think the whole product life cycle out, it won't work. I don't want to become a cell phone reseller. I have no interest in doing that. I want to make a device that stakes Evergreen Coin via solar power, and that's the scope of the project. But I understand, and please don't take my answer as harsh, James. But I've had to field this question more than a few times, and I'm sorry. Please don't take my response as being too harsh or anything.
Yeah, the truth is always harsh.
Yeah, and I mean, if people have a smartphone, an Android device, we do have an Android app. It is a full featured Android app. They can stake, they can collect the 7% interest. That said, if you lose your phone, if there's you do run a little bit of risk carrying around your investment in your pocket all day long. Uh, so those things have to be considered. We did recently release a companion app for the Android app that will make it easier to make backups and to access the file system on the Android device without the need to root the Android device. Um, let's see, and it does help you, or it will help you to bootstrap an Android device. So we have done a lot of things to make things easy for Android device people that prefer to use that. But if you're using your cell phone, there's many considerations uh, to take into account. Um, and of course battery consumption with the initial sync or even with a bootstrap. The battery consumption will be very large. You'll probably want it plugged in while you're syncing as much as possible. The battery consumption is very large, and during that process you'll use something like 2 gigabytes of your data plan. So if you're paying for your data, obviously you want to consider that. uh, it's about 2 gigabytes because of the overhead of the TCP/IP protocol that it's using. It doesn't necessarily need to download 2 gigabytes. It's below 1 gigabyte that the file it actually loads, but it will use about 2 gigabytes or more of your data plan. So you do want to consider that. And if you do pay for your data plan or your minutes or your data, I'm sorry, uh, you would want to connect it to your Wi-Fi or perhaps Wi-Fi at a public library or something to allow the initial syncing to happen. After the initial sync, battery consumption is very low, even while it's staking. So uh, it's only really a concern during the stake. But so I just want to let people know that. Um, But I mean, that is not to say you could not buy a solar battery pack for your Android device uh, that happens to be running
Oh, that
the Android EverGreenCoin wallet. You could, I mean, anyone's of course free to do that, but the solar staker is not uh, exactly going down that same path. Yeah, and like Frosty says here in the group chat, James, we can't stabilize, sadly. Not even ETH or LT Litecoin has their own legs. 90% BTC. Yeah, 90. Yeah, Bitcoin's the yardstick. All these cryptocurrencies are measured by. So when Bitcoin loses 18% or something, that spills into every other cryptocurrency. And if Bitcoin increases in price a lot, people will be selling their altcoins to get more Bitcoin because Bitcoin happens to be so. Yeah, there's a lot of variables to consider. Just because, for example, Evergreen Coin price going down doesn't necessarily mean Evergreen Coin did something wrong or anything like that. There's just a lot of variables going around, and there is a lot of people with a lot of money that can manipulate the market. Um, and it's a free market. So there's a lot of things to consider, and none of which are, I mean, other than progressing Evergreen Coin forward, none of which are under my control or anyone else's control on this phone call.
may I get
Okay.
something straight from myself? Eh, Back the EGC to the dollar or what?
I'm sorry, Mark, you broke up. I'm sorry, Mark, you broke up, or I broke up. I don't know.
Because pegging is a bad thing. It's still not done successfully in crypto.
Okay, I'm sorry,
It's
you
too
broke up.
volatile.
What is not successful in crypto? So, stability. Are you talking
Um,
about stability?
pegging, yeah, pegging a cryptocurrency
Oh,
to a dollar,
right. Yeah,
no
pegging to a
option.
dollar or pegging to gold. These things have been explored in cryptocurrency. They have not been perfected neither. The only way, to my understanding, you could successfully peg to another commodity is if you had a very, very, very large, basically a Federal Reserve of that commodity. That would be the only if you had a basically if you had a gigantic vault of gold, you might be able to. And gold is probably a bad example, but yeah, many people have tried to. I mean, there's been and I'm not just saying that people haven't had some success with both attempts at pegging or uh, attempts at stabilizing prices, but there is no cure all right now in this industry for that. And maybe we don't even want that cure all because that cure all probably sounds like regulation. Uh, which I don't think we. I know I don't want in cryptocurrency. I don't want someone regulating EverGreenCoin, but governments have a way of doing things I don't agree with. I think, especially the government I live under.
Yep.
Yeah, I missed the start. Yeah,
It's
Frosty.
all
I'm sorry, Mark. We lost you again. Yeah, Frosty. I missed the start of what he was saying too. But he was talking about pegging, pegging to a commodity, price pegging, and how no one's got it done
no
yet.
option.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so am I sharing screens here or not? No. Let me share screens here. I got some pictures to show you guys that I took this morning. 1 minute, please. Let's see. Okay, so first I got a couple pictures of just the housing, if you will, that contains both the battery, the voltage regulator and converter, I believe it's called, and the chip itself. Okay, I just got a couple pictures, close-up pictures. I want to show you some things. There is on this housing that I to some degree haven't access to at near wholesale prices anyway. It had this is just something I was working on. There is one outlet that we won't need if we don't have anything else plugged in after. This and you'll see in some of these other pictures once I get to them. But this unit is very contained, and this expansion port would either be blocked off or if we added, there has been some mention in the Slack channel about perhaps add-ons to the solar staker. For example, I don't know, a lamp for example, a lamp that you could run off the battery that's also charged via solar. So I guess it has many possibilities right there of what we can do with that output. That would be 12 volt is the way it's wired up right now. Is the 12 volt from the battery. We could make it obviously the 5 volt that the chip uses if we needed to for whatever whatever add-on device. I'm sorry, is there someone joining us? Or Mark, what was that? Did you?
No, I was talking to my girlfriend.
Oh, okay, okay. Hi, Mark's girlfriend. Okay, so let me get these next picture here. Sorry. Okay, so and here's an example of something that would plug in to fit through this outlet. For example, that's just a connector that the mating connector that would fit in there. We would have to plug that and keep dirt and from moisture from entering in there. Uh, you'll see. Yeah, and here's a bigger picture. Maybe this explains better. This is all weatherproof. This would be the bottom. If you can see down here, it says bottom, this side down, and that's to prevent moisture from being up and the battery is sitting, well, the battery is sitting like this, and above that I have the chip on the left hand side, and I have the regulator on the right hand side. And there is more room up here. There has been talk of actually recently there has been talk of adding and I brought this on myself, but I mentioned about a Raspberry Pi weather station monitoring unit. Um, so there has been a little bit of talk in the Slack channel about adding weather monitoring to the solar staker at some point. And so the weather monitoring might perhaps use this outlet auxiliary power, if you will, uh, off the device. Okay, and right here you'll see this connector. This is the connector. So this is really a self-contained unit. You had this complete unit, and you have a solar panel, and this one wire attaching it. And this one wire can be disconnected right here and unplugged, so you can carry it inside one component at a time if you want to. I mean, I can carry both at the same time, but if you're going through some doors or definitely up some stairs, maybe you only want to carry them one at a time. The battery, this is a big 12 volt lead acid battery. So there is a little bit of weight there. It's about, I guess, the size of a battery that you might see in an all-terrain vehicle. I did share some pictures of that in the last community meeting. I don't have them in this current set of pictures, but there is a 12 volt battery in there and a chip, like I said, and the voltage regulator up there. Okay, and there's a close-up of that connector, a very common connector. So what this does is this cable um, between the unit itself and between the solar panel, it's about 20 feet, so it's fairly long, but we could at some point uh, sell extensions. There has been I know in the IRC, Chicago mentioned about accessories and selling accessories and things. So at this point, because this is a connector, we can this opens many possibilities too, as far as adding more solar panels. We could start splitting in more solar panels and things like that, perhaps down the road, or add on, maybe people in uh, that don't get as much light would have to buy an additional solar panel or something like that. I live in Ohio, and we have a pretty much a lot of overcast here because of the Great Lakes, and like 80% overcast is what we have on a yearly average. Um, and I'm able to get it running with just one, but some people might even get even less light, like Frosty in Norway. He might get even less light than I. Okay, so and here's some pictures I took of the whole setup outside this morning. This was just about at sunrise. I went out at sunrise this morning and took some pictures because I knew I had mentioned in the last meeting that I would get some pictures for you guys. So I wanted to make sure I met that promise to you guys. So I snapped a few pictures. As you can see, and you can see the cable there. Like I said, it's about 20 feet long. So if you need to put this chip, the unit itself, the solar staker unit itself, indoors, and put the solar panel outdoors, if you're so worried about people stealing from you, if or if you don't want to bring in the device at night, and that's, like I mentioned, it's very easy to disconnect these two components and bring them inside at night if crime is of concern of yours. Of course, if you have a large investment of EverGreenCoin on your solar staker, you'll that is a valid concern, and uh, of course I want to try to make that as easy to avoid as possible. So anyway, so in this picture you see I got the solar panel here. I just got it leaning against a bench, and the unit itself just tucked away on the side of the bench. And just a couple more pictures here. A close up of of it. I got one picture here to give you guys a little bit of size perspective. Oh, there's a nice one I got by the pond. Nice picture there. Uh, anyway, okay, and there's my hand to give you, I guess, a little bit of perspective on the size of the device and the solar panel itself. So, it's not bulky. It's not very big. I mean, this can't be more than I would guess 8 inches by 8 inches by 4 inches deep. I would say. Guessing the dimensions off the top of my head. Sorry, I don't know them. Honestly, but so it's not very big. But this box using the lead acid battery, it is a little bit of a weight. You know, I'm sure an elderly person probably would not want to be handling it. Certainly not on a frequent basis, but uh, yeah, you know, it's a small battery like you might see in a ATV or a child's uh, car that they ride in. You know, them small little cars, whatever they're called. I can't remember, but so anyway, I think you guys get the point on that. Um, all self-sustained. This is completely weatherproof. Once that plug, you know, obviously we got to address that plug. Either plug it off, uh, as I showed you in the one picture. But other than that, this is, you know, there's a gasket around the closure that seals weather tight and everything. So that's should be good there. Okay, so and that, I think that's the last picture I have that I took this morning.
Behind,
So and
no
these.
option.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is that, Mark?
A solar panel behind the window is no option.
Well, um, in my experiments, I mean, I lose a lot of uh, I lose a lot of energy through a pane of glass. I was really surprised at how much energy I was losing, but people could do that. You could do it. I mean, and I have done it for months actually. I was doing it behind glass. You can do it, but we won't be able to achieve the same amount of uptime. And what I mean is, you're probably going to be able to the chip or the device, if it's a Raspberry Pi, whatever it might be. We'll probably only be able to run uh, I would guess 50%. I can't give you an actual uh, honest, you know, number as far as how much is lost through the glass, but I know in my discussions with community members in Slack that know a little bit more about it than I. Um, it is a considerable energy loss through the window. You know, modern day windows, they tend to block out a lot of the, you know, the UV rays and things, and I think a lot of that, you know, in double paned glass and everything, you do lose a lot of energy. I mean, I was really surprised at how big of an impact it had. You would think a lot of the energy goes through the glass, but apparently a lot of it does not. So yes,
Okay, that is no option.
to answer your question, I believe yes, you could do it, but you won't get the uptime. I mean, you won't get we will be able to get EverGreenCoin to stake, but you won't be staking 24/7 in that scenario.
No,
I
and
mean,
that's what we're aiming at.
but that's not to say more. I mean, I showed you that the connector and that we could add more panels. So that's not to say you couldn't use 2 or 3 panels behind pane of glass and it worked
Okay, but
fine. So, but I'm trying to get it running with one solar panel. I'm trying to make just this, you know, this alpha unit that I can get to community members here in the states, um, because of the lead acid battery and the weight. Hopefully, or well, if community members outside of the states want to help me with the shipping cost, we can arrange for that to be done out, you know, to for alpha testers outside the states. That's fine, but the shipping of a battery across the ocean is probably going to be pretty pricey, I guess is my concern. So, uh, and we did discuss this previously. We kind of felt that the best thing to do is to get the alpha units out, even if it's just to people here in North America, uh, and get 10 or 12 of these up and running. Um, that is our immediate goal, and that's what this unit is basically designed for. In the future, if we do a different battery lipo, I know there's many benefits to doing that. I don't know all of the pros and cons. I don't know them all, but the lipo battery we can monitor more closely. With this lead acid battery, we don't have the battery monitoring that we could have if we used a lipo battery. So there is trade offs, but the but I know the community is wanting to see them get out and obviously meet the roadmap. Um, so that is the immediate goal we're working at, and during that we can further develop the software, the supporting software of the web interface, um, and hopefully the manufacturers of chip start their new production in that time also. But like I said, and I'm not sure if I got this into the recording or not. I did buy a Raspberry Pi, and we are exploring that just to have basically our plan B. I guess lining up our plan B at this point, and it does look like it's a Model B Raspberry Pi for plan B. I thought it was funny. Okay, and next on my list here, unless there's anything anyone has to say about that, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be ignoring you
My,
guys.
my,
No, it looks good, man.
Okay. Oh, and Frosty says he doesn't think you can get sunburnt through glass. So, I guess that's
Yeah, not through windshields. Windshields block UV rays.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not
So,
sure about regular windows though.
right, right. So, but my point is, I mean, I was really surprised at how big it impacted how much power I was able to get to a battery. Yeah, UV carries energy too. See, I didn't know that. So, thanks, Frosty. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, yeah. Oh, and in the recording, I wanted to get a mention about the water well in Bangladesh. About 2 weeks ago, at the same time the hurricanes were hitting Texas, or the hurricane rather, Harvey, was hitting Texas. There was a lot of flooding and I guess torrential downpours and things going on in Bangladesh. A lot of flooding, and s lives were lost. I don't know the exact death toll, but the lives were lost there. So very sad. I mean, and obviously very sad for the everything going on in Texas and Florida. Um, but anyway, how that relates to the water well, obviously that's gonna affect the water well with all the flooding. And a community member asked me on Slack a day or two ago to if I had any update. I had not at that point, but I did email uh, the what is it? Pennywise, I believe it's called, and to get an update from them. Um, they have not responded yet, but I think maybe the weekend played into effect. I think I'll probably expect to get something back from them on Monday. They've they've been usually very quick to respond to me, so I do expect to have an update from them. Um, I hadn't asked for an update the previous weeks and everything because of the flooding and everything. I figured they had bigger concerns than building a well when they had all of the excess water at that point. So anyway, that's the water well. And the funding is we do have the funding secured for a second water well, but we've held off on that right now because of basically because the first water well is progressing a little bit slow. So we might um, do something different. We're not going to pay for the second well until the first one is built. Uh, and if that ends up that's going to be taking a long time, we might use that funding that was for the second water well uh, differently. Um, I believe all of that. I believe all of that donation came from me and Bo. So as far as contacting community members, it's just me and Bo. As far if I was going to change the funding, I would want to talk to people that donated to it before I did so, of course. But in this case, it's me and Bo, so that'll be easy. um, let's see on my list next. Here I have last week I had to pay some legal fees to get the intent of use filed. The intent of use document is filed with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Um, it is the next step to our trademark. Um, and it was a little bit tricky for me to get it done. Basically I just had it. They needed a little bit of clarity on what exactly EverGreenCoin was uh, before the lawyer would fill out the paperwork for us. Um, but I did get acceptable answers and explain things to him enough that that paperwork was filed Thursday, 2 days ago. So that's cool. And let's see. There is I did learn there is a lawyer or a retired, I guess, lawyer in the community that has offered to help too. So that's awesome. Hopefully, and they are helping me with some of the 501(c) nonprofit stuff right now. Um, so hopefully I hate dwindling away funds for legal expenses. So um, I have been able to avoid some of that in the past with lawyer friends that have helped pro bono. Um, but as of recently, that lawyer friend hasn't had as much time to help. So, uh, of course, we can do better things with any funding than give it to a lawyer. So, if we can avoid that, I try to. But that does not mean we're not willing to, and we've had to throw down more than a few times for both the trademark and other legal matters of Evergreen Coin. So, but it is progressing. So I just wanted to let the community know that and get that in the recording for you guys. And that's all I have on my list. James, I did mention before we started the recording. I did mention to these guys briefly about your project. Um, I don't know if you. It seems you don't have a microphone. Uh, I guess I was hoping to get more of the explanation from you, uh, rather than from me because my understanding is probably very well. Let's just say very vague at this point of your project. So if you don't have a microphone, maybe. Oh, you do have a mic. Oh, okay. Oh, you have a baby. Oh.
Well, I let the baby keep talking.
But that's awesome. So if you can't talk because of the baby, I completely understand that. I just wanted to, I guess, provide any information that we could for the purpose of the recording. See, right now I'm recording this so that we can put it on YouTube. So I like to summarize things in a recording for people that can't attend, and I don't, and I try to, so I try to move that along fast and keep it on point so that it's not very, very long. Okay, okay, well, yeah, let's do that, Frosty. I think Frosty's idea is good. Let's get. I mean, there is a little bit of information on the website already. Um, let's see. And there is a T-shirt on the website already, but this is the corporation's name is Increased Economic Opportunities Incorporated. Um, and I guess from my
Wow.
under yeah,
I,
it is a mouthful, I guess, but I think to my very best of my understanding, what they're trying to do is provide solar panels and charging systems to both veterans, disabled people, low and lower income people, trying to help them gain access to solar equipment so they can help subsidize their electric bill. Now, that's my understanding that I've been able, my bird's eye understanding that I've got in Solar for All. Awesome, awesome. So I guess if anyone wants to find out more at this point, um, they are in the EverGreenCoin directory. I did add them this morning. Uh,
I
oh, okay,
see a face.
okay. James is coming online. Okay, okay.
Yeah, sorry, it took me a minute to figure out how to make it work.
Oh, no worries, no worries, no worries, no worries, James. Awesome.
Technology isn't my strong suit. Um, but yeah, we're basically building solar panels on the homes of average people, starting with selected demographics. Our investors voted and selected who we should help first, because we can't just help everybody. Obviously, this stuff costs a lot of money.
Uh-huh.
Um, But what we're doing is we're basically building solar systems on the homes of citizens, and then we have them middleman the electric back to the local utilities for their personal gains. The idea of this project is we want to decentralize energy production and the wealth that is created by it. Because in the United States, people talk about wealth distribution and inequity. If it was more evenly spread out, your average workers would be bringing home closer to $100,000 a year.
Right.
And CEOs bringing home considerably less, but because of the inequity and the capitalist scale, it all trickles in pools and stagnates.
I feel
That's the capitalist system.
Right. Awesome.
So basically, it's crowdsourced, but we're a corporation instead of a nonprofit. That way, we can easily move ownership of the program to our contributors. It's a lot harder to buy and sell nonprofit organizations than it is a regular C Corp.
I see. Okay.
And how I feel like it's going to tie into this project is I'd like to, first off, get a couple dollars invested into EverGreenCoin, but then I want to help us get actual, real world exposure, actually get these elderly people, these local veterans, and say, hey, EverGreenCoin and IEO actually helped us, because I know as far as a crowdsourcing effort, it seems it'll help me tremendously. And what I can gather from cryptocurrency, like I said, I'm new to this, is that the public support could create substantial value in this market.
Yeah. Well, you talk about mass adoption and when the common people start using cryptocurrency and the boom it will create. I guess I have taken great strides to make EverGreenCoin a very easy to understand cryptocurrency and very helpful to newcomers.
Oh, you've been very helpful to me. I know that I don't understand much, so it's been very good to be able to talk to you about what's going on.
Awesome. Let's see. Okay, and IEO is selling shares of their corporation, correct?
Yeah, and anybody can go on the website and buy a share for $1 or up to 100 of them or so. if anybody's actually interested in helping us, like start this as a founder, we still can negotiate the sales of founding shares at a much better rate. But because of the use of that money, it won't be used the same way that the traditional investment. Like if you go to the site and give us $1, we use that dollar to buy solar panels. If you talk to us about buying founding shares, we're going to use that money to do one of the many projects we have underway that aren't directly related to helping the general public.
I see. I see. Right. Right. Awesome. Awesome. So, any chance Evergreen Coin could be accepted for these shares?
I would like to do that. I'm not sure about what I actually have to do that because I need to make sure I have purchase verification. Both I need to know who they are and we need to have copies of transactions. That way they can hold up if any legal case were to arise.
Okay. Okay. Well, me and you, I guess, can talk about that more. But the transaction will be on the blockchain.
Okay.
It is immutable. It cannot be changed once it's in the blockchain. And as
Okay.
what that
So I don't understand that, but as long
okay.
as we can have record of it and it'll hold up in a legal situation,
Right.
that's what we need for transfer of corporate securities.
Right. Right. Well, I can tell you, blockchain is will hold up a lot better than an email will. Uh, so
Well,
and
that's I know you had purchased a few shares yourself. Using PayPal is actually a three-party purchase verification because they charge to use it.
Mhm.
Not only do you get a copy, I get a copy, but a third party gets a copy, and that's why it'll hold up in court. Is because they can pull it from multiple sources and be like, "We know it happened."
Okay. Okay.
Fair exchange.
Okay, well, with an Evergreen Coin transaction or any cryptocurrency transaction, it is immutable on the blockchain, and you can pull it from as many sources as exist on as many peers as exist on the network. So, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, and
Well, then
I'm
it
not
sounds
claiming
like
to be. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It broke up a little bit. I'm sorry, but I'm not a lawyer. I'm not claiming to be, but I do think we could satisfy that requirement.
well, as long as you can satisfy the legal requirements, then there's no problem with it. We don't plan on, not doing what we say with the money, so we hope no legal issues ever do arise.
Of
But
course, of
we
course.
need to make sure that all of the proper procedures were taken.
Right. Better safe
If
than
so, they
sorry.
do.
Right. Better safe than
Yeah.
sorry for sure. Yeah. And there is some lawyers that will be watching this recording from the Evergreen Coin community. So um, I will be talking with them too and verifying with them what I suspect is true. Uh,
Okay.
and
Well, I encourage it. I know that we are trying to get out to as many people as we can. Um, Luckily, corporate sales of securities is pretty standard everywhere.
okay,
People
I
have been
see.
doing regular old school business for a while.
Right. Right. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Well, we can pick that up, but I just wanted to get at least a brief explanation of what's going on here, and obviously I'm very excited for Evergreen Coin to be involved in this project of yours, So I mean, very eager to help in any way I can, and for those that don't know, he has T-shirts now for sale on the website, and more information can be found in the directory there on our website, and you can find links to James' website there too. Uh, but in the hopefully in the coming weeks or so, we can arrange for shares to be purchased with Evergreen Coin. But of course, as you can see, we want to get all that legally verified. So, but that's awesome. That's awesome. Very exciting news. Uh, and IEO, it is an energy company, right? I mean, I saw that's how
Yep.
it's categorized.
Yes, we're an energy manufacturer.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, that's awesome. You'll be our first Evergreen Coin's first energy manufacturer company we're working with. So that's very exciting, and definitely working in the right direction that we want to take Evergreen Coin. So.
Well, I appreciate everybody's time, and hopefully we can work together to make great things happen.
Yeah, yeah. I think you once you meet some more of the people in the community, I think you'll find out we're all on a very common task here. Well, and I know you guys help veterans a lot. Bo on the call, he's a veteran. There's also some other veterans that sometimes join our hangouts. Um, but Bo's been with the project for many months now, and helping a great deal with the project. So, uh, you
But
Yeah, I
know,
apologize for being quiet, guys. I'm just trying to hold it together. My back went out last night, so
yeah.
just trying to get out of the way.
Yeah, we understand, Bo. We understand. Yeah, sorry you're feeling bad, bro. Sorry, man. And Frosty's a mute. He won't never talk to us. So, and uh, but anyway, okay, awesome. That's awesome. I mean, we're looking forward to this. What can be done here? So, very excited with that. So, thanks for taking some time to come and join the call to get it on the recording here for us. I appreciate that.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys. Um, I know as a crowdsource effort, we have to reach out to as many people as possible.
Sure, I
At least tell
understand.
them what we're doing.
I understand. Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully we can help you reach more people and more people that might be willing to invest. You know, cryptocurrency is a lot of the people in here are just strictly investing. You know, um, that might be a rarer breed in the EverGreenCoin community because we are a little bit of a different animal in that regard. I like to think we are anyway, where we are actually more concerned about what good we can accomplish with this amazing financial lever rather than what profits we can just stuff in our pockets. So, so good.
Well, I agree there's a lot of potential here. I just don't have full understanding of how it all works.
Yeah, I
But
understand.
I've come to understand working with a lot of technologies. I don't necessarily have to know how it works to know it does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, Evergreen Coin. You know, I'll be honest with you. You know, we did have some issues early on, with the network. We did have some problems early on. You know, I won't lie to you about that. But those have been resolved, and the network is does very stable now. No, we haven't had any complaints since the previous hard fork to correct those network issues. So, you know, I won't lie to you. There has been issues in the past, but those issues have been corrected. So, once again, it's in its infancy. So, wrinkles.
Well, it always takes time to build good things. So make
Exactly.
sure you do it right.
Right. Exactly. Okay. All right. Awesome, James. Thank you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. But I'll remain on the Hangout if anyone else has anything else they want to talk to me about. But I've gone over everything that need to get in the recording. I try to keep the recording short for those people that don't have the time to join. When they watch, they don't have to spend a great deal of time. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording now. So YouTube, thanks for watching, and I will see you next weekend, YouTube. Take care. Bye.